On December 7, 2023, more than 1,200 tons of dead fish washed up on Japan's Hakodate beach. These dead fish spread over more than 1 kilometer along the beach. What exactly happened that thousands of dead fish arrived on the beach? What did Japan do with these fish? Why did China ban seafood imports from Japan? And why did the whole world point fingers at Japan after this incident? Let's see. The fish that died in this incident in Japan were of two types. The first was sardine, a small silver-colored fish whose length. This is a very agile fish. In the sea, it usually travels in groups. The other fish was mackerel. This fish is also silver in color and is also very agile. Mackerel fish migrate a lot and mostly travel in groups. When these dead fish washed up on the beach in Japan, the local fisherman present there said that he had been fishing there for 25 years but had never witnessed such a sight in his life. The mass death of fish is not a new incident. Rather, a few months earlier in September 2023, the same scene was observed on the beaches of Galveston, Texas, where thousands of dead fish washed ashore, and on March 19, 2023, the same incident was seen in Australia, where thousands of fish surfaced dead in the Darling River. But the fish that died in the Darling River were bony herring, moray cod, golden perch, silver perch and cod. Other places have also witnessed similar incidents. The exact reason for why these fish died in such large numbers and ended up on the beach is unknown to anyone. But local authorities provided their reasons suggesting this possibility. Australian authorities said that the oxygen level in the river water had decreased significantly, which caused the fish to die. Japanese authorities gave three possibilities for the fish deaths. The first being that the fish died due to a lack of oxygen in the water. The second possibility suggested is that these migrating fish fled to this point to escape their predator, amberjack, and got exhausted and died. The third possibility suggested is that when these fish were migrating, the temperature of the new water was very low, which shocked the fish and caused them to die. But these are all assumptions and not yet confirmed. In this regard, Japan's authorities had advised not to take these fish for consumption, but some locals continued to take the fish for their meals. All this was happening in Japan. Then a video from Japan went viral on social media. They were dumping this nuclear waste from the Fukushima nuclear plant in Japan into the Pacific Ocean. There's a little story behind it. When a 9.7 magnitude earthquake struck Japan in 2011, which was accompanied by a huge tsunami, the Fukushima nuclear plant was completely submerged in water. Inside, there were nuclear reactors that had cooling systems installed to cool them. Due to a short circuit, these cooling systems failed and the backup generators also failed. So the reactors melted and exploded and all the water became radioactive. After that, the water was collected by setting up barriers and a large amount of water was also collected in storage tanks. So for so many years, they kept using new water and kept collecting the wastewater. Now they had no more space for wastewater, so the Japanese government in 2020 proposed that they treat this wastewater to some extent and release it into the ocean. There is no other way. Japan said they will take the next 30 years and slowly release this contaminated water into the Pacific Ocean so that there is no sudden change. In the year 2023, Japan will release radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean for the first time. A nice sort of bad deb with the soil, which results in a strong response from neighboring countries, and in response China bans Japan seafood. Hong Kong bans seafood from 9 states of Japan. North Korea says that what Japan is doing is a crime against humanity. South Korean officials say that instead of banning Japan's seafood, we should just not eat seafood. In South Korea, people protested in front of the Japanese embassy saying the ocean isn't Japan's trash bin. Foreign experts, apart from neighboring countries, said that if this release went as planned, it would have a negligible impact on the environment and human health. But then unfortunately, 4 months after releasing the water, this incident with the fish happens. Thousands of fish had died on the beaches of Japan. People from all over the world began to say that the death of so many fish was due to the nuclear power plant waste being released into the water in Fukushima, but the Japanese authority rejects this claim. They say that it has no relation to the Fukushima Fukushima nuclear plant because there is a distance of more than 600 kilometers between Hakodate Beach and the Fukushima nuclear plant. So that's why the Japanese authority has denied it. But what actually might have happened to these fish that all died in such large numbers one by one? Let's look at the possibilities. The first possibility is hypoxia, meaning a lack of oxygen in the water. Fish dying from hypoxia is a very common thing. Even in aquariums, many fish often die due to hypoxia. But in the sea, when a lot of algae grow in one place, called an algae bloom, when the algae die and decompose, bacteria decompose the algae, and a lot of oxygen is used in this process, which drastically reduces oxygen for the fish, resulting in their death. The second possibility is ocean warming. When the environment's temperature rises, the water's temperature also increases, which reduces water's ability to hold oxygen, leading to an oxygen shortage for the fish, and they die. The third possibility is stratification. Stratification occurs in coastal areas, meaning beaches, etc. In some areas, a distinct layer forms on the water which has its own temperature and salinity. The water beneath this layer cannot interact with the atmosphere, so oxygen exchange does not occur. As a result, there is a lack of oxygen in the deeper layer, and then what happens, you already know. The fourth possibility is upwelling and downwelling, which are both natural processes of the ocean. In this, water flows in a vertical form. In upwelling, nutrient-rich water comes from the deep ocean to the surface. This is beneficial, but organic matter increases a lot on the surface, so oxygen consumption also increases. Downwelling, on the other hand, takes the oxygen-rich water from the surface to the deep ocean. All these reasons were due to the lack of oxygen, the death of fish. Additionally, if there is any infectious disease in a fish, it can spread quickly to other fish and cause large-scale fish deaths. Along with this, natural events like underwater volcanic eruptions can also lead to mass die-offs. Humans can also play a significant role in this mass die-off, such as our waste going directly and indirectly into the oceans, and nuclear plants worldwide releasing their radioactive waste into the sea. Which contain a lot of toxic chemicals that severely affect marine life, and it is also possible that this mass die-off of fish is due to human actions. Anyway, what's done is done. Now, what will Japan do with these 1,200 tons of fish? This also needs to be known. If they have died naturally, then they can be eaten. But if they have died due to toxic substances or any disease, it will have a very bad effect on human health. The Japanese authority has advised against eating these fish because they do not know the reason for this. Local people have been warned that they cannot use them for food or fertilizers, but the locals collected a lot of fish for their consumption despite the warning. The Japanese authority decided that they will incinerate all these fish. Incineration means disposing of waste material by burning it at a high temperature. The cause of these fish dying will be found out, but there is something happening in the deep ocean that scientists still haven't been able to understand. Despite the lack of food in the deep sea, the organisms you see on the surface increase in size more than 100 times in the deep ocean, which is known as deep sea gigantism, even though there is very little food there.